Today we're going to be talking about Web3. As usual, we're talking about the ecosystem of the future of the internet, and we're going to be discussing that with none other than the founder, one of the co-founders of Vimm, ddrfr33k. Go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of talk a little bit about your journey with Vimm, DDR. Yeah, I mean, you guys have done pretty well in the space, and you guys are one of the I would say one of the more premier dApps that are on the Hive ecosystem. Definitely something that I think a lot of people should pay more attention to in the space. I think it's just going to be trying to get some larger acceptance going with among people who are streamers, and if you could capture some of that base of the people who don't necessarily like Twitch, for instance, that definitely could help you guys. Phil, no audio. Okay, here we go. Okay,
Professional podcast right here.
professional, professional amateur,
Professional.
professional
So
amateur.
professional.
Professional amateur. That's what we call it. So I won't make DDR go through it again, but yes, he DDR says he's not the one of the founders, but he's one of the co-owners now.
Yeah.
Definitely making some moves in the space, trying to help Vimm grow and develop. He has a lot of good things that he's been telling me that Vimm is working on. So, what made you guys pick Hive out of any blockchain? I mean, or Steam before it. What made you guys pick Steam to kind of front that, and now Hive when there are other blockchains? I mean, I would like to kind of maybe hear what you guys had to say about that.
Yeah. Well, first things first, we should probably sound check and make sure that everybody can hear me now. That might be a good starting point.
Yeah. Well, I have the audio playing here, so hopefully,
Good. Okay.
so I can see the desktop audio.
Mixer. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
showing up on the
you're
mixer.
showing up on the mixer.
Good. I'm in the mixer. Okay. Good. So that's actually a better question for Sharon because I was not around at that point in time. But my understanding was that Vimm was born out of another project that Sharon and Forever Average had been working on at the time, and DLive was doing their thing at around the same time on Steam, and much like how I got involved with Vimm, Sharon and Forever Average saw something that DLive wasn't doing that they could do that they felt they could do better, and so they said, "Screw it, we'll make our own site with blackjack and hookers," and that's kind of how Vimm started. And then after DLive did what they did, uh, they pissed off a lot of people in the process, and a lot of people started saying, "Hey, there is a need for a Steam-backed, a Steam-based live streaming platform. Oh, hey, there's this Vimm that's still around. Let's go check them out." And it's actually kind of funny. Vimm basically got DDoS like in the first for that 72 hours after DLive left Steam. Like, like couldn't handle the traffic at all. It was bad. It was bad. That was before I got here, but before I got involved. But yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It was fun though. It was fun.
Yeah. So I like the story there. It definitely being born out of something to compete with DLive is definitely a neat story to start with. I mean, I know DLive is a site, and they kind of, in some ways, captured a lot more audience, mainly just because they bought creators to go over to the platform.
Well,
And that's one of the, I guess that's the easiest way for them to grow. But for a platform to grow is to just buy people, and that buy exclusivity contracts.
It's not so much the buying as it is just the marketing, and that is one of the key differences between Vimm and a lot of other platforms. Even on the Hive blockchain, Vimm has been very very bootstrapped. We have not had, the backing of tons and tons of whales. It was only recently that we started getting involved with Acid Yo's OCD curation queue, and that was mainly because our ideals aligned with theirs. And I don't know if Sheeran reached out to Acid Yo or Acid Yo reached out to Sheeran, or whatever way it happened. We basically realized that we're basically thinking along very similar lines. Excuse me, and it just made sense to partner up. But
Yeah.
our growth has been organic growth. It has been bootstrapped growth, which means it's slower. It's slower than molasses in January.
Yeah.
But it's growth that is genuine, and it's from people that believe in the project. And I feel like that. I mean, there's value in having the numbers from having a robust marketing budget, from marketing your site. And honestly, if I had the kind of money that I could throw $25,000 at a marketing campaign, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Right.
Sadly, I don't have that kind of money to just throw around willy-nilly. I wish I did, but that's why we're all in crypto, let's be honest.
We gotta make it big before we can do that. When Hive starts hitting over $1 again, we can.
Yeah, exactly.
But so what makes you see? I really feel like Hive is one of the future. Basically a future platform for Web3, and really it's going to be a jump off point for everyone to kind of have ownership of their own accounts, and basically their account follow them everywhere they go. And that's one of the benefits that I see of this blockchain. So what makes you see Hive kind of as the future of Web3? I mean I know you're heavily into it and buying often. So what makes you think Hive is really one of the future points for that?
So that actually comes from something that's been kind of in my sphere of awareness for a while now. I actually deleted my Facebook profile back in 2012, shortly after their IPO, when they went public and traded, and their stock was publicly traded. I deleted my account shortly after that point because I had reservations about the way that they maintained, how they were planning on monetizing. Because the moment you get shareholders involved, there's that constant beating on the door of, how are you making money? How are you generating wealth? How are you making more money? Where is the money? Show me the money. Why don't you have money? It's almost to the point of I don't want to say domestic abuse, but seriously, it's not. If your company is not prepared for it, it can really harm your company. And I saw the writing on the wall, and I said, you know what? It's been fun. I mean, I signed up for Facebook back when you had to have a university email address, and it was only available to people at specific universities, and my school was one of them. I mean, this was, oh shit, that would have been like,
but I mean that
February or March of 2006, something like that. Realistically speaking, I was one of the early adopters of Facebook because I saw the value in social media, but I didn't like where it was going.
Well, yeah, and it's sort of a, when you have these freemium products, they have to get a lot of value out of it for because they're allowing the service to be used for free. Like if this is like a paid game or a paid subscription to a game, then that's a totally different story than something like where you're playing a freemium game and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of ads, there's a lot of data usage, and that's kind of where it's gone, I think, and that's I still have a lot of Web2 accounts. I still have a Twitter, because it's one of the most effective like marketing tools for a lot of different reasons. News travels fast on there. Good to get a lot of information, but I definitely like. I see myself using more and more of the Hive ecosystem as it goes forward, just because there's so much that's being pushed on us, with whether it be trying to add a bunch of different disclaimers on things. Facebook the other day was asking people if they've seen people being extremist behavior, and who knows what they define.
And then there was the whole, and then of course the Babylon Bee had a field day with that one. Let's be honest.
Oh yes.
But going back to your point about there has to be some sort of revenue generation, and free apps generally have a hidden cost to them. You'll get no argument out of me on that one. I understand that there's a need to generate revenue. I mean, I'm a small business owner. I fully understand that. At the same time, it's like you want things to be done in an equitable and fair way,
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the lack of transparency that a lot of these tech companies have, and they get to act with impunity in a lot of ways in regards to using your data or they use you for a lot of different reasons, and they'll sell your data to other people who also want it. I mean, that's why
definitely.
Like Amazon will work with Twitter, because if they see you tweeting more about that you like planting flowers, they'll want you to make a new garden. Amazon wants to get you that new gardening set or whatever.
They want to sell you the tools and the docks and everything. Yeah, so that you're not going to the local hardware store. Exactly.
Yeah,
that is exactly it. But like I actually bounced around on a variety of different social networks for quite a while. I was on Sue for a little bit back in 2015, 2016. I don't know if you're familiar with that one or not.
No.
That one was interesting. I liked the concept. That's actually where I met the Castle, who's also on Hive. That's where I met him initially, was on there. I got to know a variety of different people. They had like Skrillex and Carmelo Anthony and there was one of the guys that did the inking for the Deadpool Marvel comics back in the early aughts and into the from the early aughts to the early 2010s.
Oh, nice.
So he was on Sue and would talk about comics and stuff. It was great, They folded in 2016. I was on Minds for a little bit, but I didn't like the community that was forming there. I got very involved in Gamergate on Twitter back in 2014, and now I'm one of the worst harassers of the internet. That dubious distinction with LeBron James, former President Obama, Pope Francis, and Kentucky Fried Chicken. No, that's not a joke. But as a result of that, like when Gab showed up, like I created an account on Gab as well, and again, the community was not one that was like collaborative. It wasn't that growth oriented.
Well,
it was take.
Well, it's not just that too. It's for me a lot of the platforms when they're centralized. You even saw it the other day. One of the former Trump team members announced like a new platform, Getter, which I just signed up for an account. I signed up for an account too, because I just want to see. I want to be there if one of these platforms, is the place to be. And preferably, I would rather it be Hive, but that ecosystem. Yeah. But I do realize that we're in a tough battle with trying to convince people. Yeah, Jay. So Gamergate, oof, yes, Gamergate is one of the biggest sins apparently. So I appreciate you.
I strongly believe that people who People who abuse others are terrible people, and I stand by that statement.
Mm-hmm.
And if that makes me a terrible person, well then so be it. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all
Yep.
I'm gonna say on the topic. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. If we get into that kind of discussion, it may go longer. It'll be a long rant.
We could have a 4-hour conversation on that, and I'm serious. Like we could
Yeah.
have a 4-hour conversation on that
Oh, yeah.
whole topic. Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, so my struggle here is I do want to be on these platforms, but with these centralized platforms, a lot of times what I see is that the overwhelming majority of them are the people who were just either removed from other platforms, and so it's going to be it's almost like 4chan just raids whatever news site, and I mean that in the like the I like 4chan for a lot of reasons, but they're a rowdy bunch, and they always make it a hard time for those platforms to grow or anything. So
So the way I like to describe 4chan to people is pure, unadulterated chaos. They are the monkey. They are the monkey's paw that grants wishes,
yeah.
and sometimes they grant wishes that aren't even asked. I mean, but that's the way. That's the way they are.
They're either God, they're either like the god of creation or the god of destruction, basically.
Sometimes
like,
both at the same time.
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Let's
Yeah.
be honest here. But one of the most interesting things that I noticed because I was very active on 4chan back in the late aughts into the early 2010s, and one of the really interesting things that I noticed with 4chan was that the push for anonymity is a very interesting irony in that you don't, and in some ways it's actually kind of freeing because the only thing that matters is the quality of your idea. If you have a terrible idea, I'll keep the colorful language to a minimum for you. If you have a terrible idea, you will get called out for it. You will get blown up for it, and you will be mocked, ridiculed, and shown the door with a kick me sign on your attached, slapped on your back.
Yeah. Well, see, I think of it more, kind of like it's basically like the ultimate meritocracy, right? Because I mean, when you're anonymous, it's kind of like playing an online game with online ranked game with the random opponent, like random teammates. It depends on like the luck of the draw, but like there's those teammates that you're like these guys know what they're doing, and we're gonna band together and win. And then there's those rowdy people who will just throw your game or mess your game up, and so
because that's what they do. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But what also is really interesting about it is the thing that matters is the quality of your idea. But what's more interesting is the things that don't matter: your race, your age, your gender, your creed, the color of your hair. None of that matters.
Yeah,
it is a true equalizer, and that's one of the things that really kind of amused me was you see the regular autistic screeching of the tits or GTFO, but there was actually an underlying reason behind that, in that it's if you're going to use your gender to try and validate your point, your point wasn't worth listening to in the first place, so we might as well ridicule you in the process.
Well, and it's the perfect tactic, right? Like if your opponent makes a bad argument or an argument in bad faith, just mock and shame them, and that's really I've seen it play out time and again that's the best tactic, is if someone makes a bad argument or an argument in bad faith, that mocking and shaming them is better than actually engaging with those bad ideas. And it seems like that's the way that it works, when you're anonymous. But when people don't have anonymity, like there's a lot of, you've seen it how it works with cancellations. People getting fired from their jobs just because they posted on something on Twitter is just crazy. That kind of.
Honestly, the whole cancel culture thing is I honestly think it's one of the most dangerous uh, cultural norms to come out of the past 5 years. I think it's
Oh, most definitely, most definitely.
okay, and the reason why I think it's so dangerous is that there's no opportunity for redemption. There's no
Hmm.
opportunity to change your mind. There's no opportunity to learn and grow from it. It's just you are canceled. You will never find a job again.
Hmm.
You're what 19 years old and you're already damned to poverty and homelessness, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, and sometimes
And
they even go
you might not
further.
have, you might not have even known that what you did was wrong.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, you see it all the time. Like the kids say a word, and maybe they're just singing a song, and some of those songs have those words, and they all of a
Right.
sudden they end up being like literally persecuted. I mean, actual. A lot of people will throw out the threats. Say, hey, these are threats, and I always am skeptical when someone starts throwing out those. But I treat it with like cautious skepticism. Like I
Yeah.
believe them, and I want to believe them, but I also want proof.
Yeah.
So I'm not from I guess I think it's Missouri. I'm not from Missouri, but I definitely kind of have a show me state attitude. Uh,
I
but
can
the
appreciate that. I can appreciate that.
but
But no, circling back again, because we've gone on a bunch of different tangents here, but
yeah.
circling back around. So, the thing that led me to Steam and why I got so interested in it in the first place was the collaborative nature of it.
Mhm.
Um, that people from all over the world with different ideals and different um, political leanings, different belief systems, and even people that vehemently disagree with each other are able to still be civil despite their disagreement. And I think the best example of this, and the one that I've actually brought up specifically to the people involved, was back shortly because I joined Steam back in December of 2017, right before the crypto winter. I know, perfect timing.
Yeah.
It was. You want to talk great timing? That was it. Um,
Yeah.
but there was a conversation going on in that like early January 2018 with because the Steam back dollar SBD was trading at about $5 per, and it was intended to be it was intended to be a pegged asset that a one SBD would always be worth $1 worth of Steam.
Yeah, kind of like how high HBD is now, or more so
Exactly.
now.
Exactly, but back then it was like $5-6 per SBD, and it was not what was intended, and it was seen as a problem. And so there was discussion amongst a bunch of the witnesses, not just top 20, but like 100, going to the top 200 even, of, you know, do we peg the SBD to $1 and just force a sudden drop in value of the SBD? Do we let the market decide what do we do here? And there's this back and forth, and I distinctly remember Aggroed and Reggae Muffin getting into a very spirited but still very civil conversation live on the Steam blockchain. And at the time, Aggroed was like number two or number four, something like that. And Reggae Muffin was no slouch either. He was like top 75, I want to say, something like that. I mean, like there were people that had
They had pull in the
significant legal
community.
backing. They had pull, they had clout, and when they spoke, people listened because they deserved to be heard.
Yeah.
And what was most interesting about this debate was that despite these two people coming at it from diametrically opposing viewpoints, despite their passion for their standpoint, for their position, they stayed civil to each other. And when other people started trying to stir the pot, they were the first to slap them down and say, "Sit down, son. The grown-ups are talking." And that was refreshing to me. And it was something that I appreciated out of Steam, and because the community cared enough to say these people we can be different people. We can have different opinions. We can disagree, but we will still stay civil. And anybody that wants to be uncivil in this can get the fuck out. And I appreciated that. I really did. Like that was and that was something that said that was that moment that I said, okay, this is home. This is where I belong. This is my community. I'm putting down roots here, and this will be the hill that I die on.
Yeah, I mean that definitely. I don't really see many as many arguments or anything on Hive now.
You going night night? Good night. Night night.
Got a visitor.
Little one's going to bed.
Yeah, I just had to do that as well. Had to get my son down. But I don't see as many disagreements on Hive. I did have this guy the other day. I don't know if you got tagged in it as well. The guy just tagged.
1,000 people. Yeah, I got tagged too.
I kind of downvoted out of spite there because it's like, well.
Whenever that happens, I downvote, but I also explain that if you wanted my help, this is not the way to do it. I'm giving you a downvote because I downvote posts like this on principle. But so now you know why you got that downvote out of me. Don't do that again.
Yeah. I mean, and the best part about Hive to me is more so different from a lot of platforms in that a lot of people have asked like Facebook for a dislike button or Twitter for something like to downvote or whatever. But realistically, I prefer the way that Hive does it because upvotes should reward good content, and really you shouldn't have to be invoking downvotes that much. I mean, like I said, we did
vote much at all.
Yeah.
My downvote mana usually stays at 100%.
Yeah.
Pretty much constantly. Like you have to really piss me off to make me downvote you.
But that's the good thing about the community in that if you don't like the content, you can keep scrolling. Unlike where nowadays a lot of times people have to type a paragraph and tell your mom is doing things or it's all kind of the insults. The insults go from what they were on like online video games, and basically now they're everywhere. It's just insult. It's always the one-up culture, and I really don't like that, and I like what the Hive ecosystem brings. But
and it's interesting because a lot of this building mentality was what influenced a lot of Vimm's systems. Like for example, like I've been streaming regularly since 2016. I started streaming in 2014, and it's been a regular thing since for about 5 years now. I've been on Twitch, I've been on DLive, I've been on Smashcast, I've been on Mixer, I've been on Vimm. And what's always been really interesting is that the communities between each of these places are all very, very different. The DLive, when it was on Steam, was rather collaborative. People would come by, chat, drop in some upvotes, cool. But you go to like Twitch, and unless you're a big name, you're more or less forgotten. And the big names are like, give me money, give me money. There's that one ethot that got blown up for.
Oh yeah, $5 a month. $5 a month. Yes, I'm talking about. I love it.
See at the people who are too.
You can't subscribe. Yeah. It's $5 a month.
And the level of entitlement out of the people on Twitch, I mean, it's not a community that I don't think it's sustainable.
Well, and here's the thing: is they're not doing it. A lot of them, they do see it as a living, which I don't fault them for that. I do think that get your bag right.
If you can make enough to survive, get that bread. Get that.
But
I'm not gonna fault you for that.
But it's they're so like even Twitch stats would say they have more streamers than people that watch, and so therefore by very nature there's going to be less people to view your content in particular, and of course they're not gonna want to support it monetarily most of the time unless you've already become popular. Uh, and I see that a lot, you know, and that's one of the great things about Vimm is that someone can just drop in, you know, you know, you and Eldred upvoting my stream, and it just really, you know, it may not give me much out of it. You know, I get a couple HIVE maybe maximum, but that is some value added to me, and it's something that you didn't really have to put in a lot of effort. You didn't have to waste a lot of, you know, your money. It's just based on what you're staking, and all of those metrics are, you know, how much I'm rewarded.
And not only that, but it's a positive reinforcement loop.
Yeah, it's gonna reinforce me to post more and update.
And you're like, hey, I'm getting upvoted. Awesome. People are tuning in. People are upvoting my stream. This is awesome. This is cool. This is good. I like this. You know, like there's that positive reinforcement that comes with, you know, that community engagement. Mm-hmm. But going back to like what you said about, you know, there's more people streaming than watching on Twitch. That problem was one of the reasons why we implemented the builder score on the leaderboard. Now the leaderboard was a solution to a whole different problem. Mm-hmm. The leaderboard was my idea, and that to try and have a better way for people to understand where they stand in regards to the entire Vimm ecosystem and what it's going to take to get to the next level. I designed it to be scalable. It's a percentage-based leaderboard, and not it's percentage-based tiers and not arbitrary scores.
Right.
And in doing so, and in creating that, we also put out a blog post on HIVE explaining this is what this thing exists. Here's how it works, and here's how you grow. We made it explicitly clear. These are the metrics that we use. This is what we're looking for. We didn't like explain the exact algorithm, but we gave enough of a general idea that people can go, okay, I get people talking to me in my chat. I'm gonna get my consistencies, my activity score is gonna go up. If I go out and start upvoting other people, my builder score is gonna go up. If I go out and start subscribing to people, my builder score is gonna go up. And I can get myself rising up the ranks. And I can see what is causing what specific actions cause me to rank up.
Well, and you see, like with mine, you know, it's you know, I have a pretty high builder score. You know, I may not have you know, high score in the other categories.
Right.
But you know, I've went into other people's streams, checked them out, left them upvotes, said hi, you know, see what they're up to, and it's definitely it honestly it makes me feel good too, because like these other people that, you know, I hate, you know, streaming if I'm going to get, you know, nobody chatting with me and discussing things that are going on.
I streamed on Smashcast for over a year with no viewers. I've been there. I know what that's like. That shit sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks. And I say that from experience because I know what that's like. Mm-hmm. And that's why I built and that's why one of the things that I was very adamant about when I joined Vimm was we need to make community growth and community building a foundational pillar and a priority number one feature within Vimm. And Sharon was on board with it, which was good. I'm glad he was, because that is something that sets Vimm apart from so many other platforms, and it's something that gives Vimm an edge where others don't have it. Where community is forefront, the people that go out and build up others will build themselves up at the same time, and every wins. It's a very socialist thing to say.
Well, it's not really socialist. What I think is that a lot of people view this as a zero-sum game, and they view crypto. Yeah. They view crypto. There are people, you know, like I made a post, you know, a tweet the other day, you know, talking about Bitcoin maximalists, and I was like, look, like Bitcoin maxis, the reason that people don't like Bitcoin maxis, like, are just for the same reasons, you don't like vegans or CrossFit lifters. It's because you're gonna turn people off from listening to your message simply by the fact that whenever someone has alternate viewpoints, you're just going to shoot it down or say that it's bad. And that's not the way you're going to build anybody up or have any sort of community there. So what I'm
CrossFit trainer, a vegan, and a cryptocurrency trader walking.
Look at them more.
Tell you about it first.
They're all the same person. Joke's on you. Joke's on you. They're all the same person. A vegan crossfitting crypto trader.
That's which one tells you about it first?
Yeah, but yeah.
Right,
so
though. I mean, like the people that do the most evangelism for crypto are also some of the worst at it. Let's be honest. Like the people.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about it like, so I look at it like from the perspective of this, the people who just say, they're throwing into meme coins because they just want to get rich. Let's be honest.
They're memes. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, either they want to get rich or because they're memes. But that, the guy who became a millionaire on Dogecoin, he didn't sell at the point, and he lost a lot of what, he didn't sell at the top, and he lost a lot because he was saying, oh well, I'm doing, I'm hodling, whatever. And it's like, at some point you got to show people, how to be responsible about stuff. If you're like, I don't know. To me, it's just like it gets to a point of absurdity, right? The memes go too far. It's like
there was a really fascinating little thing that I had read back in the beginning of 2018, talking about the prior year, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 worth of Bitcoin invested on January 1st, 2017, and then cashed out on December 31st of that year, would have $1,000 invested would have turned into, like, I think it was like it was like somewhere in the neighborhood of like $23,000 or $24,000, somewhere around there. I mean, it was a pretty good investment.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it was not the best performing crypto that year.
Yeah.
$1,000 invested in Monacoin, which was a Japanese meme coin, and like a very small subset sort of thing. $1,000 invested in Monacoin on January 1st would have cashed out on December 31st for $487,000.
Wow. That's insane.
And I bring that up just to prove the point that the meme coins are the ones that are going to give you this great amount of value, ROI, but at the same time, they are a fucking crapshoot.
Yeah.
They really are. I mean, you look at like SushiSwap had zero. Basically was almost dead for a short period of time. There was that one coin that Mark Cuban invested in that actually went to zero.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like SafeMoon, I bought in, I didn't buy much, but I bought in a little bit of SafeMoon, and I was like, well, we'll just see where this goes, I just want to, buy a little bit and see where it goes, and really, it's just tanked. It hasn't really done much, or it's stagnated, and it's like, even
at that point, back in July of last year, TikTok was going abuzz about everybody should buy Dogecoin. And we'll get it to $1.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you know what the hell, I'll bite. So I dropped $50 and I bought like 12,000 Dogecoin at 0.4 cents per coin. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's $50. It's not a ton of money. I'm not going all in on this. If I lose it all, I'm out $50. BFD. It dropped to 0.25 cents within 24 hours. I'm like, well, okay, there's a learning experience. I'm just gonna, it's not even selling it for a loss. I'm just gonna hold on to it and see what happens. And then, you come fast forward, 10 months.
It's like that was worth it.
I sold 1,000 Dogecoin at 36 cents a pop for a markup for 14,500% growth.
Yeah. But, you know, that this is just a broader point of you know, this is not a zero sum game, and that's what I want
But at the
people
same
to.
time, you have to play it smart. You can't just YOLO your way into it. If you
Well,
want
what I
to
was
learn.
well what I was gonna say is you know, as far as it's not a zero sum game with streaming as well, and that's where I think that Vimm really emphasizes that it's not a zero sum game. It's not just you. It's not just your community. Uh, because you know you can't help if you can't help anybody else. A lot of it, um, you know, people want to be the superstar before they've even you know done any work in reaching out to other people, right? Like there's a lot of people who don't you know, they don't want to shake hands with certain people, they don't want to do certain things, and then they just want to be a superstar out of
They
nowhere.
want
Like
the fame without the effort.
yeah, in a way, but it definitely without like the outreach. You know, there a lot of people get opportunities that they never would have if they didn't talk to certain people. You know, and that's one of the things that I especially with this podcast I want to do more talking to people and kind of see people in the community and see what they're up to. But what so what do you think? This is a good question that I wanted to pose. So what do you think it's going to take to get a lot more people over onto Web3 and using more of these blockchain based platforms? I mean, what do you think is the tipping point for a lot of the people to start engaging with Web3 and what it has to offer?
I can answer that with one word: necessity.
Yeah. Well,
When it becomes when Web 2.0 becomes untenable, people will look for solutions. We're already starting to see that with Twitter, where because let's be honest, Twitter is a cesspool. It is not a positive place to be. It is full of people who are angry. They take everything you say out of context, and they will lambaste you, and they use their platform to tear you down. And everybody does it. And it's not a good place to be. And more people are starting to realize that, hey, maybe Twitter's not such a good spot. And the more people start to look at, and we're starting to see that now with Facebook as well. But the more people look at social media like Facebook and Twitter, and they see that and the more that people get fed up with the status quo on the flagship social media networks, the more they get fed up with it, the more they'll start looking at alternatives. And the more that people start looking at those alternatives, that's when we'll start to see more growth into Web 3.0. I think the push from what I would consider the far right into Web 3.0 was the starting point. And I think we're going to start seeing more. I honestly think we'll start seeing more widespread adoption of Web 3.0, especially as people start to see the necessity in it.
Well, you know, and this is kind of what my biggest crux with you know, you love him or hate him, the you know, our former president. He had a huge opportunity to really take a lot of power away from the platforms and take himself to another platform and just literally because they'll want to be there simply by osmosis and you know, and maybe you know, maybe we could build something out of one of those platforms, but I don't know. At this point, any centralized platform seems like it's going to be very potentially dangerous for any type of individual. So because anytime they can strip your accounts away from you. So you know,
that's going to be a common thread in a lot of areas, simply because of the way our legal system is currently built. I mean, Vimm does ban people from streaming. We've had to do it. I've had to do it in the past, and I'll do it in the future. Most of the time, it's people overseas that are rebroadcasting UEFA and Premier League matches without proper licensure. The best was when this one guy actually tried to bribe me to let him stream
You mean you had the Saudi prince on there and you didn't take the deal? Oh man, he offered you the fortune and you didn't take it. That at least shows your principles, you know. So.
Well, the issue was, I told them, do you have your contract with Premier League to broadcast this match? No, I don't. Okay, well then the ban is going to stick around. Could you please unban me so that I can host it on my site? No.
Wait, what?
No. So I started sending. So this guy offered to pay Vimm to cover the hosting costs so he could embed the stream on his site. And we've seen this in the past. It's not the first person to do this. But my immediate response, I didn't even wait on this one. I was like, so you're trying to bribe me? I screenshot that and sent it to Sharon. I'm like, this guy is something else. And we had a chuckle over it, but I mean, it's like, but like, we are being a company based in Canada. We are bound and obligated to follow the laws in the great nation of Canada.
Oh no. Well, you just heard what Canada announced, right? The hate speech.
Yes.
Hate speech laws.
I am aware. Yes. Yes, I am aware. The good news is because of what we have going on, we have some plausible deniability, and that's with the way our terms of service is written, we claim no responsibility for the actions of the people on our site, and any liability falls on them, not us. Yeah. So we have some.
And I mean, we don't even. I don't even think they really well define what that is. So who knows what they.
I suspect that there's going to be quite a few legal challenges. The first person that gets charged under this is going to have some very powerful lawyers lining up to do it pro bono, just to have their name on that case, and you know that's going to happen. Actually,
we've seen
if David Freiheit, Viva Fry on YouTube, if he does not get involved in that in some way, shape, or form, or does not file the Canadian equivalent of an amicus brief, I will be very surprised.
Or like Nick Rekieta or somebody like that.
Well, Rekieta's Minnesotan, so he would not be able to take.
Oh yeah, true. He's not a Canadian.
No, Viva Fry is, so he would. But you know that there's going to be a whole line of Canadian lawyers just being like, we're all in on this, let's go, sort of a thing.
Yeah. But yeah, those kind of things, getting more people over here definitely is going to help build our ecosystem and build. Build everybody up, because it's just going to be like I said, this isn't a zero-sum game. Everybody has their base, right? It's kind of like you can all have your own friend group and you can be part of other friend groups, but there's definitely you're gonna have your friend groups that you're like, hey, this is my close friends.
Circles, and other people will have their circles, and sometimes those circles intersect, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, and that's the way I think it's going to be more on these new platforms.
And it's interesting that you bring that up, because 4chan has basically been doing that since its inception. You look at all the different boards on 4chan. There's everything for weapons to origami and cosplay and
you can't get the famous poll. You can't forget the famous poll.
And poll, but.
Poll is the most famous.
The reason why Poll was created was to serve as a containment board, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't fully understand and don't recognize or see the wisdom in it, and they are incredibly short-sighted for missing that point. Poll was created to basically to work like the thing like Ghostbusters, when they catch the ghost and they put them in that container thing, and then the giant Twinkie.
Mm-hmm.
Poll is kind of like that. You keep them in their one little spot.
Mm-hmm.
They can do whatever they want in there, and as long as they stay in there, they're fine. they're okay. There's not they will not they as long as they stay in there, they can do whatever they want. They stay there and they don't go outside of that, everything's fine. But the moment
If you let them out.
if you let them out, exactly, then the taxi drivers turn into zombies. Don't destroy the Twinkie. But that's basically it. It's that. There's nothing there. There's this tribalistic. Among the users of 4chan, you'll see different people. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I mainly hang out in A, and occasionally H, and sometimes DIY when I'm feeling kind of crafty and creative." And that's fine, And then there's people that are only pull, only pull, only pull, and then there's others that just lurk and be, and that's all they do. But each of them has their place that they call home, and they have their boards that they associate with, and sometimes they'll overlap into other boards, and sometimes they won't, and that's fine. That's not a bad thing. That tribalism is not something that should be discouraged. But at the same time, that tribalism should also recognize the existence of the other tribes. In that, and what I'm getting at is
it's like
your right to exist does not trump the right of other tribes to exist. The moment you go out and say they shouldn't be out there, we should get rid of them. They're not okay. They're bad. We need to ban them. We need to get rid of them. You have just granted them license to say the same about you.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that Web 3.0 kind of really, like, for Web 3.0 to really take off, it needs to embrace that tribalism, but also embrace the, peaceful coexistence, I guess, for lack of better word.
Well, I mean, it would be much along the same lines of native tribes. They a lot of times they work together. They weren't just solely. It wasn't like the Cherokee just operated on their own all the time. A lot of times the tribes would cooperate with each other. Whether it be Cherokee, Choctaw, whatever. A lot of them would work together in a lot of ways because they kind of.
Minnesota, we have the Dakota Sioux, we have the Lakota Sioux, and we have the Ojibwe, all represented within our state. And actually, the Shakopee Midwakaton Sioux, which is affiliated with the Dakota, I think they're Dakota. Don't quote me on that. The Shakopee Midwakaton community is one of the largest in the state, and they are one of the largest bands represented within my state and within our area, and they'll do regular outreach with the local Ojibwe bands and the local Dakota bands, and specifically I mentioned the Shakopee Midwakaton specifically because they have a gigantic casino down in Shakopee, the city Shakopee. And they provide and they do a lot of grants and tribal and support to other bands that don't have the income resources that they do.
Yeah, and I mean, you see this with a lot of communities that they pool resources, they work together, and a lot of times it helps them achieve larger goals that they never would have otherwise.
Exactly.
You just look at a lot of the immigrants that came over to the Americas originally. The reason that their families became wealthy is because a lot of times they pulled their money together to make a shop or something like that, and it performed well. Like they would open up their own businesses by pooling resources and working together. So there's a lot of ways we can go about this that we don't have to just think about. You look out for number one, sure. I'm not going to say that people shouldn't look out for number one, but definitely it's going to help you in the long run. Just the fact of I go and watch your streams sometimes, and you have drop in at mine sometimes, simply because of the fact that I'm going over and I'm doing the putting in the extra effort to come to your stream sometime and chat with you. So and I appreciate that every time.
It creates that positive we're going back to that positive feedback loop again.
Yeah.
You know, you go out and help somebody else, they're more inclined to come back and return the favor.
Yeah.
And the more people you go out and do that, the more people you go out and build them up, they'll come back and help build you up. And all of a sudden, now we've got, right now we've got a couple dozen people that are helping each other out and upvoting and coming in and chatting and all that. Think about what's going to happen as Vimm grows, and all of a sudden we've got 1,000 people on Vimm that are doing that. 10,000, 100,000 people. Think about what that's going to do to the Vimm community as a whole, and how many people are going to just going to become just immensely wealthy in Hive overnight, just by sheer virtue of everybody helping each other out.
Well, and the people who people, if you're people like you in the community, they're more likely going to be there for you and support your content. So you the more people that like you, the more that it builds you up. And that's where I find a difference between a lot of the streamers who just just tear everybody else down. Because I just don't think that it has to be that way. I honestly, you should.
It really doesn't.
You should want to be likable to some degree. I mean, yes,
absolutely.
Yes, there are going to be people who get under your skin, but you deal with that when it's there. But a lot of it.
You take those punches as they come, but you don't let that affect everything about your stream.
Yeah. But I just had a couple more questions, and that basically
I also wanted to shout out Greenmaster.
Yeah, Greenmaster.
And the tip there, Greenmaster over here recently within the last 24 hours started delegating to Vimm. He's giving back to the community as well. And helping everybody out in the process.
Yeah, thanks for the tip.
Shout out to Greenmaster.
Shout out, yeah, Greenmaster. Thanks for the tip, and thanks for the upvote. Yeah, and thanks for the upvote as well, Eldritch. Appreciate it. But
we're really starting to see more people that are becoming evangelists for Vimm, and I would count you in those ranks, Trey. In all honesty,
yeah.
I mean, like you're one of the people that has been all in on Vimm pretty much since you showed up, and I would say Schmoogle as well, Chris UK,
mm-hmm.
Eldritch has showed up relatively recently, and same sort of deal. He's been all in on Vimm, and I love that. And Greenmaster, we've got Colonelio down in I think Colonelio's in Argentina, if I recall correctly. Something like that. But we're starting to get that global influence, and these evangelists are coming in and sharing their world sharing their community with the world, and also bringing and working to bring their community to Vimm. And the more we start seeing that, the better off everybody will be.
Yeah, shout out Greenmaster. Appreciate. I saw your stream the other day. Saw you. Thanks for the gift, Dude on the Web. Appreciate it. Dude on the Web's on here regularly too. I see him often.
Yeah,
he's
Ecuador. That's it. Ecuador. That's it.
I gotcha. But yeah, so a couple. These may be more. This may be a more technical question, but I'm sure you may know about it. But I kind of want to end on two good questions. So. Sure. If you saw about 3Speak, they're planning on doing something to sort of tokenize a lot of what the be able to tokenize communities within Hive, and I mean we already kind of have that to some degree, but I don't know if you guys have any plans of sort of building on like the Speak token or any ideas for that or in any way. Do you?
So. It's funny you bring that up because the Vimm gems for a while were actually part of Hive Engine or Steam Engine initially, but then over to Hive Engine with the migration.
Right.
And we actually pulled the gems off chain because we realized that it was actually hurting Vimm's growth overall. And it's this weird thing where Vimm gems, as they are right now, have no oversight. There is no auditing. There is no ledger or of any sort. I mean, we keep track of gem sales. We keep track of wallets and everything, but it's not publicly auditable. You can't go and look and see who sent gems to where.
Oh, okay. So the problem was the public ledger.
And we have no oversight on that. But we don't have to worry about it. But that doesn't matter to the governments.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So like library token.
When we were on Hive Engine, if we wanted to sell gems and take payments via PayPal, we had to collect AML and the anti-money laundering data from people that wanted to buy gems. And most people that are interested in streaming are not going to be interested in doing that. They're going to look at that and go, "Why do I need to do that? That seems suspect. I don't want to do that," and they're going to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Part of what happened was, starting out, we really focused on bringing crypto to streaming, and it took me a while to realize it. And I had a buddy of mine who also streams very regularly, kind of point this out, that we were going about it the wrong way. Instead of bringing crypto to streaming, it'd be better to bring streaming to crypto. And so we kind of pivoted on that. So a lot of what Vimm does now is not necessarily on blockchains, but we use Vimm as an onboarding tool to get people interested in crypto, specifically HIVE, in a way that makes sense to them, that they can see, oh, I link a HIVE wallet, my viewers can get their own HIVE wallets, they can upvote me, I earn crypto, and I don't have to worry about mining or all this other nonsense, but I can get some crypto. Okay, that's cool. And in doing it that way, the one downside is that it lessens the influence of crypto on Vimm. But on the other hand, it's bringing crypto and it's bringing Hive and crypto to people who would not otherwise be interested in it.
Right.
And so there's a balance to be struck. And
it's
pretty good job with it.
Yeah. I really think that moving them off chain is definitely was a good move, because I like being principled, but here's what I find myself doing often. I like to stand by my principles, but a lot of times principles get in the way of pragmatism, and a lot of times, like the better thing in the long run is to be more pragmatic about things, and I think that you guys have struck a good happy medium with that, because
realistically, if we're going to be brutally honest, Vimm is more centralized now than ever. I mean, we're running on we've gotten better now that we're running on decentralized ingest servers. So I mean, like, at least there's that, but like Vimm is I would classify Vimm as a centralized app built on a decentralized blockchain. And as much as it pains me to say that realistically that is the case. And you might disagree, and that's fine. But like Vimm we run our own. We're running our own sites, not on the blockchain. We don't have a bunch of people that are hosting the Vimm website or the web player. So in that regard, I would consider us a centralized app. But by the same token, I would also consider Splinterlands to be a centralized app, and 3Speak as well. Like they're not.
Well, I think 3Speak they're working on to sort of make it more peer to peer. Hosting
right.
The IPFS stuff. And I watched a great interview about that stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And that I guess they said basically that's going to go hand in hand. Or I think they've already implemented it to some degree, because I have seen it on 3Speak where you can enable IPFS and basically peer to peer.
Yeah.
So, but it's
and so I would say that it's not necessarily a bad thing to be a centralized app on a decentralized platform.
Well, I agree.
The challenge is maintaining the integrity of the values of the decentralized side of things, you have to have enough self-control to know when you're screwing up, and having the wisdom, and you have to have the wisdom to listen to outside feedback that says, hey, you're doing something that might not be a good thing, you might want to dial it back, and having the wisdom to listen to that and also respond accordingly and listen and act with wisdom. Therein lies the challenge. We've seen a lot of centralized apps built on top of Hive that
Well, you could argue with
don't have
the
that wisdom.
library or Odyssey. I mean,
Yeah.
they're built on a blockchain technology, and essentially they're still a centralized service, but they also are they're listening to the community, and they basically I don't know if you just saw they implemented where you can tip creators in
I
fiat.
saw that.
So
Yes.
so
Yes.
yeah, see, it's listen.
And I was gonna say, library is one of the examples of a centralized app that operates like a decentralized app and does it right. And I'd also say Splinterlands is in that same category as well. I mean, Splinterlands has done the centralized on the app on D app. I'd say they were one of the first, and they set a very high standard in the process.
Well, I mean, it's a quality game, so I mean, it makes sense. Like a quality game, and built on top of the blockchain, it's introducing a lot of people.
And managed and maintained by quality managers.
Hmm.
That's the important part that a lot of people don't recognize and miss out on, is that it's maintained by quality people. Without those
Yeah,
quality people, everything else just falls apart. I mean, the moment you get a shit community manager in there, and everything will crumble. Look at what
yeah.
happened with Mighty Number Nine, which was created by Keiji Inafune, the creator of Mega Man. It was designed to be a successor, blah, 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 spiritual successor to Mega Man, and they hired this community manager who was not a good person, and was banning people from their private forums left, right, and center.
Well, I mean, I can think of a more recent
And
example, I
hurt
guess.
the overall optics.
I can think of a more recent example, I guess, like with with the discussions of Borderlands. Borderlands had an issue with that
Yeah,
recently. Where if you discussed like some of the characters, they were talking about preferences for the character and stuff like that, and if you discussed it in a certain way, you're getting banned.
yeah.
If you disagreed with it, simply disagreed, say, hey, I didn't think, you get banned, or simply the other another good example was the whole Battlefield 5 controversy. That
Yes,
whole thing.
absolutely.
They went hard after people who disagreed with the fact that they were going in the wrong direction. Like, this isn't
And
Battlefield, you
to
guys.
their detriment.
Right? I mean,
That's the important part. They went after them to their detriment.
well,
That hurt them in doing so.
and you can see they obviously had a change of heart, because if you look at the new Battlefield, I mean, it doesn't look anything like what they were trying to advocate for then. So either they've had a change of heart, or they're gonna, either they're gonna do a rug pull on people whenever they launch the game. But generally speaking, those, that's kind of how it should be for everything. That's kind of what the old web and old games used to run on. Is, yes, everything is sort of centralized, but there's sort of these decentralized part of the community that people can take part in. Back in like the original Call of Duty YouTube days, you'd have people who were the sniping community. You had like
Mm-hmm.
the uh
The trick shot,
the trick shot.
no scope,
Yeah,
no scope guys.
yeah,
Exactly.
you'd have the people who were pub stompers, who would just like get like 100 kills a game, and make it like completely not fair. But those are,
The guy that gets attack nuke in 30 seconds in Modern Warfare 2.
yeah. It's just, but I think to some extent, yeah, a lot of these are gonna at least in some ways be more centralized. But definitely, they
Another example along these lines, you'd have the official servers owned by the developers, but then you'd also have private servers, and if you went into the server browser, you could take your pick.
yeah.
And
And a lot of games are removing
I
those.
would love to see a return to that. In all honesty, I would love to see a return to that. Because one, it takes a whole lot of cost off the shoulders of the developer, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Two, if somebody wants to run a server that's full of cheaters and everybody has infinite rocket launchers, that's their prerogative. And
Well,
there are people that like to do that and want to have fun, and for them that's fun when you can spam rockets just everywhere. Like that's fun.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like
If a server admin if a server admin wants to power trip, they can do that.
yeah.
If their server, if nobody wants to play in their server, that's that they reap what they get what they effing deserve, to quote a certain Mr. J.
Yeah. Well, see that and that's kind of how it should have been all along, and how what we kind of, or the kind of the advocacy that we're doing for like Vimm, or that, if you don't, if you want to, I mean, that's kind of like the way that the block, at least the Hive blockchain is working. If you guys ban somebody off of Vimm, then really they can still post a Hive. They can, I mean, they can still do that kind of stuff. But it's not going to be, you don't have to host them in your community, and
Exactly. That's exactly it.
but they still have a place to go, and that's where the more important thing, I think, is yes, they may not be good members, but they still need some place to do their own thing, and that's what I think.
To what I said earlier, the moment you deny somebody their right to exist, you grant them license to deny your own.
Yeah. But I kind of want to just end on another good question here for you.
Sure.
So what do you think are the three coolest features that you can talk about? I mean, I know you guys are gonna have your secrets, so you can keep your secrets. But what's the three biggest features you guys want to, at least what can you tease for the future of Vimm? So
I can talk a little bit about our next big update. We just finished the live peer. We're putting out some fires right now with live peer, so the next big update is kind of getting pushed back a little bit as a result.
Mm-hmm.
But our next big update is going to be a quality of life update, specifically around chat and user engagement. So the big things that we're looking at are, we want to court teams. So like, say you've got an esports team and they want to have broadcasts from their members on their official team channel. They can delegate and give each user their own stream key, so that when that person goes live, they're live. But then if that person gets kicked out of the team, they deactivate that stream key and they can't broadcast anymore. That's something that I've been pushing, because there is a team that I have been courting for quite some time. They are interested in Vimm. Our ideals align with their ideals, but there are features that they are looking for that are missing from Vimm, and this was one of them. So that's one of the things we're looking at. The other is an overhaul to the chat system, specifically in chat moderation. We want to give control to streamers to be able to set whatever rules they want for their streams. So in that, we want to do so this is not a definitive list, this is not a set in stone, but these are things that Sheeran and I have discussed as things to be added. Some of these might not show up, but I have to put that disclaimer out there. But we want to have a word filter where you can put in specific words or phrases that you do not want to have in your chat, that will automatically remove a message from appearing. We want to have chat moderation set up so that users can delegate, so that streamers can delegate a user to be a moderator in their chat, and that moderator can delete messages from their chat, or ban users, etc. We want to flesh out the dashboard and add a chat moderation section, so that where the banned word list would show up. Moderation log, see who gets banned, stuff like that, and then offer additional filtering, potentially offering filtering. Ideally, I'd like to see something like the auto mod that you see on Twitch.
Yeah.
Whether or not we can create something like that remains to be seen. but like that would be that like
The
stuff
rogue
in
AI.
stuff, yeah, rogue AI, that's all we need. Stuff in that vein where we can put control of the user's stream in the hands of the streamer rather than us maintaining it, making it easier for the streamer to decide what they want to allow or disallow in their broadcasts.
And Greenmaster points out something. I think we already have a form of hosting. I don't.
And hosting, yes, we actually had auto hosting at one point in time. We turned it off because it was causing issues with something or other. We have talked about reinstating that.
There's still the section there. I added some.
I still have my list of everybody that I've set up to auto host. It's not working right now, but that is there. We do want to make that a thing again. So yes, and yes. However, we need to get that squared away. But yes, that is something that we are going to implement. We do want to implement that. That is on our roadmap. That's going to be another quality of life thing that we will add. Also, and something else that I could talk about, we're still very, very preliminary, but I have been talking and I've been reaching out to Stream Elements to research the possibility of integrating with Vimm. They just added Trovo recently, and the Stream Elements staff that I have talked to sound receptive. It sounds like they're interested, but they're not the people that can make the final determination.
Yeah.
But they're going to bat for me within the organization, and at least trying to, at least there is internal support from people who can't make the decision, but the hope is to eventually put some pressure on the people who can to say, hey, we should add Vimm. So that is, ideally, I would love to see their alert overlay integrated into Vimm so that their overlay can work with ours, and their chat bot could work with Vimm. And so like when you get an upvote, you could have a little notification show up on stream, and play some audio and text to speech if you want, whatever. Make it possible for viewers to tip you via PayPal if you so desire. Set up a Stream Elements merch store and get notified when somebody buys one of your shirts. Stuff like that. Like that's the goal, because that will bring value to Stream Elements, but then it also brings value to Vimm as well. And everybody wins.
Yeah, all great stuff. That you guys are trying to get. And as it gets more stable and as you're able to add more features on it, I know we're gonna have a great space over here.
And the one takeaway that I would give to your viewers: start streaming on Vimm, and if you don't want to stream, start dropping in and talking with streamers on Vimm. Show up. Drop a couple chat messages in, because that will help them grow. Our leaderboard looks at the chat activity of the viewers. So Greenmaster and Eldritch here have helped you grow your ranking on the Vimm platform just by dropping in and talking with you here.
Yeah, and I've been keeping tabs on that. As
Hey, you're at the top of the leaderboard right now.
Yeah, I've been trying to, gotta maintain. It's the, what is it, like the king in his castle or the whatever for a second. So until the castle gets smashed down.
Of course, everybody's gunning for you now.
Oh yeah. See, Greenmaster, he's over here. He's coming for me.
He sure is. He is gunning for
you. He has a great quality stream. I definitely recommend watching.
He really does.
All of the cool gifs and everything are very, very entertaining. So,
Accordion Radio just hit Platinum Partner too. Awesome. I just noticed this. So there's this guy over in, I think it's Germany. who plays an accordion on Vimm.
I couldn't tell if that was live though.
Awesome.
I couldn't tell if that was live because I didn't really. I said, hey,
He's
what's
not
up?
He's not responding to chat, and I don't know if he knows that that's a thing. And if he's not live, that's a damn shame because he is awesome. He's actually really talented. I like him.
It almost looked like it was on a loop, so I didn't know. Like,
is it on a loop? Oh, son of a bitch!
I don't know. It kind of looked like it was on a loop, but yeah.
That sucks.
I don't know.
That sucks.
But yeah,
Master, you'll get there. You just keep streaming, and honestly, bring it in. Tell your friends to come check out Vimm. Have them sign up and start heckling you on your stream. Tell them to roast you on your stream. You know.
Yeah, that's kind of all I had. Is there anything you want to just give in closing or anything?
Y'all should go follow me on my streams.
Yeah, everybody now go follow DDR Freak, and then also go follow him on Twitter. Go follow him. Well, I think pretty much you're mainly on Twitter, and Twitch, and Vimm. So
Twitch, Twitter, Vimm, and Hive. Yeah, that's mainly where I'm at nowadays. I stream on Monday and Friday nights, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. My shtick is retro games on original hardware as much as possible. I just finished Blue Stinger on the Sega Dreamcast last Monday. That was it was not a good game, but it wasn't a bad game, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It really was. I'm actually gonna be starting Banjo-Kazooie on the Nintendo 64 on Monday night.
Sweet.
So
everybody go hang out. His streams. And of course, also follow me everywhere. So I'm on on Hive. You can follow me on Hive. I post regularly to d.buzz. I post regularly on Twitter as well. That's kind of why I have my custom notifications showing up. Where I mostly post on Twitter and d.buzz mainly, but I also am posting on my Hive account. So if you guys follow me over there, you can see what I'm up to. Sometimes I post my runs and stuff on there. So my active fit stuff and everything like that. But go follow me over on those channels. I also have a channel on Twitch. And if you haven't followed on Vimm already, please drop a follow for the channel. That
noticed.
Oh, hey, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Giving my spiel, you hit me with that one. Yeah, but everybody support all my other channels. I typically have them linked in the Hive post if you want to follow me wherever. That's pretty much all I had for this episode of the Web3 Podcast. A great discussion with DDR Freak here. Thanks to him for taking time out of his busy schedule to come chat with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, and like I've said this to a lot of people. I have a standing offer for anybody that wants to invite me to join them on their stream to talk about Vimm. All you got to do is come DM me. I'm on the Vimm Discord. I have my own Discord as well. Just come find me, DM me. Let's schedule something.
Awesome. Well, that's going to be all for the podcast episode. DDR Free can sign off, but really, I'll next I'm going to probably shut it down for a few minutes, and then I'm going to do a gameplay stream for those that want to stay and hang out.
Sweet.
So
awesome.
All right, have a good night, DDR Freak.
You as well.
Peace. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna shut it down for a second, and then we will get into some gaming here in a sec. So, short break. I'm gonna shut the stream down though. Be right back.